Okay. How was, it says. I can do that. How was the dinner? Was it good? Okay. Okay, excellent. All right, so if I can have your attention, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with our evening. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Scott Sardina to come up, please. The nominating committee chair who will conduct the 2023 Board of Directors nomination and voting. So, Scott, come on up.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. The IFPS nominating committee has put together a slate of candidates for terms beginning in 2023. The candidates can be found on the back page of tonight's program. The nominees have been selected, of course, according to our bylaws criteria. At this point, I would entertain a motion that these officers and directors be elected to their appropriate terms.
I'd like to make a motion. These officers and directors be elected to their appropriate terms.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. These positive votes, along with the proxy votes received online, mean that the ayes have it and the motion carries. Congratulations to all the new board members and officers. At this point, this concludes the IFPS elections.
Thank you, Scott. Okay. So, let's do this. Let's have the introduction of the new president. How's that sound? Before you leave, Scott. Right? I'd like to introduce Scott Sardina, the 2023 president by IFPS. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. As a board member and former vice president of marketing and PR and this year's strategic planning chair, Scott is more than qualified to lead our organization. On behalf of the IFPS membership, I would like to present you with presidential gavel. Got your name on it.
And it's spelled correctly.
And it's spelled correctly. That's normally my line, actually. So here you go, sir.
Thank
You
you.
will be prepared to take the con, right? Excellent. Thank you. Pop, or Scott, would you like to?
Speech.
Yes. Speak.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dennis.
Absolutely.
And thank you to, I guess, everyone involved that has helped me get to this point. And there's one person, I don't know who the person is, but I'd like to thank them because without them, I wouldn't even be here today. And that is 7 years ago, there was apparently a board member that stepped down, which allowed me to actually join the board of directors at that time. So thank you to them, otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking to you right now. And because of that, that gave me the opportunity to join IFPS, which is a wonderful organization. Throughout the years, I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the most passionate individuals in this industry, and I am excited, humbled, and honored to accept this opportunity. I'll do my best to pick up where you left off, and I look forward to helping advance the organization forward. Now, as my first duty as president-elect, and on behalf of the IFPS membership at large, I'd like to present you, Dennis, with a token of our appreciation. Give me 1 second here. All right. Dennis, it says Dennis Poirier, President 2022.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right.
I was going to say that, also spelled correctly. So we're 2 for 2. This is good.
Your name will also be added to the list of past presidents on the official presidential plaque that hangs in our headquarters office in New Jersey.
Thank you, sir. Right. Turn the page, literally in this case, right? So obviously this would be the part where, I'd have something great to say. I really don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, everybody in the room, I think pretty much I am. I will say one thing. I'll share one moment beyond my favorite statement that not everyone's going to pass. I, like Scott, I really do have that one person that is actually Tom. Took me to a meeting and said, my time in Eaton says, if you don't like it, you don't have to go back, but you need to go to at least one meeting and see for yourself. And I was like, okay, we'll go. And, that's been almost 10 years ago, actually. Be 10 years, 2023, be 10 years, Tom. So if you can remember back to the ride back from Indianapolis to now, it really is all that he said was going to be with regards to people and the ability to get involved. You really can do as much as you want to from a participation standpoint. And Tom, I just want to say thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody in the room. There's a lot of great relationships now, right? We talk about stuff, and obviously fluid power is where it's at. But truly beyond that, there's relationships now, with people that regardless of the industry, I will probably maintain long term. So I just want to say thanks. Thanks for everybody for coming. Hope you enjoy your evening. It really has been good. Thank you very much. Now, we've got several board members whose tenure ends this year. Since this is our last face-to-face meeting before the end of their terms, we'd like to take this opportunity to honor them as well. First is our immediate past president, Rocky Phoenix. Rocky, stand up, please. And Rocky's been on our board for several years also. First serving as the director at large, then vice president, strategic planning chair, and then our leader as our president for 2021. Rocky continues to serve and has been. I turn the page. Right.
Short way out the door.
EMCEE, right, for the last 2 years for the Hall of Fame inductions, which really is a great program. And I want to say personally, I appreciate the amount of enthusiasm that you put into it and the fact that you take it seriously. That it really is important to you. You've got a passion for it. We do owe a great deal to Rocky, and I'd like to give him a nice round of applause. Rocky, we got a plaque for you as well. And this is presented in grateful appreciation. You're standing over here. I'm going to stand here so Don can take the break. There you go. In grateful appreciation. Right here, Rocky Phoenix. Thank you so much, Rocky. You're welcome. The next two gentlemen could not be here this evening. Randy Bobbitt, our former VP of Education, and Steve Bogish, Director at Large. Although they could not be here, I would like to recognize their service to our organization, and I'd like to give them a round of applause. We will also be sending them a plaque as well. So there's plaques on the Rockies, right? Next are our three outgoing honorary board members. Liz Rafus was supposed to be here, but was unable to. There's some last-minute changes in her plans. So she is one. She is the past president of IFPS. She really is a strong pillar when you talk about volunteering. She stays very connected with our organization. She's done a lot this past year as well with some of our structural things and policies we try to review. She makes sure really that it's all about the punctuation, right? And I wish she was here to hear, you know, but we do appreciate what she does for us. She's the grammar queen. There's definitely no doubt about that. She's right there to let you know. But I do want to say thank you to Liz for all she does. And again, I'd like to take a moment to recognize her as well. Next, Bob Sheaf. Well, yes, sir. Absolutely. Bob was a board member for just as many years. Okay? Lead the certification committee and past president who volunteers. It says volunteered, but I'm going to change it to volunteers. Countless hours ensuring our certification programs were technically correct. We thank you very much. See that? It really says that.
It does, doesn't it?
We thank you very much. And Bob, I've got a plaque for you as well. Looks very similar to Rocky's. You know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to shake your right hand today. Let's check. Look at that.
Good.
Huh? Look at that.
There we go. There we go. I love a photo op.
See, I knew you. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. I also wanted to include Paul Prass. He could not be here this evening either, but many of you know Paul, and you know his dedication is without question, right? You know his long love for our organization, I think, speaks volumes about the type of person he is and how he feels about our organization. You know, was IFPS board member, right? Executive director. He published, the Fluid Power Journal magazine for over 20 years now. And we would like to thank Paul for all he's done. Again, we're going to mail him a plaque also, but I want to take time to certainly recognize him. Okay, this concludes the award portion this evening. But before we begin, our Fluid Power Hall of Fame awards, since a few of our newly elected board members are here this evening, I'd like you to recognize them. Please stand when I call your name. Bradley, Bruce, and BJ. There are two additional ones that are not here, Wade Lowe and Honorary Director Parker. We are looking forward to using your unique talents, so it says. He's going to be excited, right? You're going to help us move forward. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize. Thank you for stepping up. And last, I'd like to acknowledge the dedication of all our committee members, especially those who lead our committees. Please stand when I call your name. Jim O'Halley, certification. Dan Fernandez, education. Jeff Hodges, finance. Chantel Buffer, marketing and PR. Garrett Hoisington, membership. And Scott Sardina, strategic planning. Thank you very much. Their work and the work of the staff really makes this happen for us, right? They run us through and keep us on task. So I want to say personally, I appreciate what you guys do, what you guys put in, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what we're going to do moving forward. I'm excited for what we've accomplished so far. I'd like to reintroduce Rocky Phoenix, again, our Master of Ceremonies, the Fluid Hall of
to Barbara Streisand.
That's all right.
You are ageless and evergreen after all.
What are you sitting for? I need a hand here.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Hold on. I bet there's some kind of a plaque down here.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to have to bend down during the ceremony. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? How's this thing work?
It's on.
Yeah, how do I
No,
raise
no.
it up?
Oh, you want to raise it up? You gotta do that.
Because I'm pretty tall.
Wait, I gotta tighten it now. I'm pretty short.
Well, welcome to the, oh, there's my notes. Welcome to the Fluid Power Academy Awards, as Adele wanted to have this known. I don't know if everybody remembers Adele Kaiser. She's retired, kind of like me. Only she got roped into working a little longer. So, Jim O'Halleck, this is for you. The Fluid Power Hall of Fame was established to recognize the lifelong contributions. Did you do that? Lifelong contributions of individuals whose innovative ideas, and I can barely pronounce this word, entrepreneurial spirit, hard work, and have significantly contributed to the continued success of the fluid power industry. That's our mission statement, Jim. So this evening, we will honor and acknowledge those individuals who have dedicated their careers, have made significant contributions to the fluid power industry. I, along with the selection committee, I'm truly humbled to honor these visionary and impactful leaders. Before we begin, though, I want to have a moment of silence, some reverence for our 2019 inductee, who he recently passed away, unfortunately, before his time, I'm afraid. Tom was a recipient of the first Automaha Pioneers in Fluid Power Award in 2007. He spent over 3 decades leading, teaching, and developing the courses and programs at the Milwaukee School of Engineering. He was a director of the Fluid Power Industrial Consortium, a collaboration between MSO, i.e. the Milwaukee School of Engineering, and the NFPA. Tom held 2 U.S. patents and served on the ISO, that's the International Standards Organization, for fluid power. So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Tom, if you would, please. Thank you, everybody, for that. Godspeed, Tom. I'd also like to thank the rest of the selection committee, some who are here, some who could not make it. Liz Rafus, John Groot, Garrett Hoisington, who is here, Ernie Parker, Chantel Boffman, Jeff Hodges, Steve Blazer, Brian Wheeler, and of course, Adele Kaiser, who is retired. But I want to thank each and every one of you for your time, this commitment to honor these people who really deserve some recognition that they don't get. The Hall of Fame is one of one line item, KSI, if you will, on our strategic planning. And even though it's one line, I can tell you it takes quite a bit of time and thought to select these deserving people for this award. So we're proud of the results. We're thrilled for the recognition for these people. And thank you very much, all of you, for attending and making this a special time. I hope everybody has had an opportunity to talk to Bob Kraft. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here. First, I would like to honor the posthumous inductee, and in lieu of a physical award, a donation will be made to the NFPA Education and Foundation, I think is very deserving. Frank Flick. I did not know him. He's before my time. I think Tom Blansett knew him. He's about the same age. Frank graduated from Loyola Academy in 1927, Tom. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Illinois. Mr. Flick is credited with 56 patents. That's quite a few, I can tell you. I don't have one. 42 of these were for improvements and innovation for both pneumatic and hydraulic cylinders. So some of you airheads in here, that should be about 460 of his original cylinder dimensions are now incorporated into the industry, into the NFPA cylinder standards, if you can imagine. I mean, this guy was way ahead of his time. He really was something. Along with his partner, William J. Reedy, Frank purchased the Miller Motor Company in 1942, and the descendant of that company has been known both by Flick Reedy Company and the Miller Fluid Power Company. Miller is now owned by Parker, of course. I think they own just about everything, don't they? Mr. Flick received numerous awards, including 3 National Industrial Recreation Association Helms Awards for excellence in employee relations. And I got to tell you, on a personal note, somebody that is that good with employees should be honored just for that. That's a tough thing to do. It really is. Frank was awarded Citizen of the Year, an Americanism Award from the VFW, the First Partnership Award of the Labor Management Association, Senior Citizen of the Year Award from the Chicago Park District. I never studied Latin, so this next one's tough for me. And the Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice designation from Pope Paul VI. So that's got to be pretty special. If the Pope was involved, Donna knows. As early as 1957, Mr. Flick saw one of his inventions go into space. 6 tiny nuts were used to seal the highly corrosive fuel, helping to thrust a 4.5-pound Vanguard satellite while 300 miles up. Implementing his fervor for education, Frank trained hundreds of his employees. He became known for his successful and effective employment policies and was known to have trained the industry. That's pretty impressive, I got to tell you. So let's have a round of applause for Frank. Moving on to the living, we'd like to honor our 2022 inductee, and that would be Mr. Robert Kraft. Bob and his wife, Maria, founded Kraft Fluid Systems. You probably have heard of that. That was founded in 1972. The now 100% employee-owned growing need for integrated mobile, hydraulic and electronic control systems. Kraft Fluid Systems serves 11 Midwestern and Mid-Atlantic states, setting the standards for employee education, training, and experience. Kraft Fluid Systems is an industry leader and requires IFPS certification for all technical employee owners. That's pretty impressive, folks. Bob earned both his fluid power specialist and fluid power engineering certificates early in his career. He's been an active member of the IFPS. He's served on the board of directors from 2003 through 2008, leading as a president of the IFPS in 2007. I got to tell you, I got his autograph. I'm really grateful for that. Before his retirement, he was committed to the Fluid Power Distributors Association and the Strongsville Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, I don't know about committed. That has kind of a bad ring. But in 1961, Bob earned his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the Ohio University, and then served 3.5 years in the U.S. Navy. During his naval service, he was awarded a patent for the inductive kick suppression solenoid. While employed at Paul Monroe Hydraulics, Bob was a principal contributor for the first edition of the Lightning Reference Handbook. That goes back, and that's a big deal. So this, at that time, that became our standard industry handbook. Now it's the Fluid Power Reference Book that we promote. Quoting Bob, throughout my career, I believe education, training, and experience lead to learning and competency. More than 20 years ago, Bob and Marie established the Kraft Family Associate Professorship Awards. These professorships have provided monetary and professional support for the junior faculty in the Department of Engineering, Technology, and Management at his alma mater, Ohio University. Bob, I got to tell you, reading your resume and all that you've done for the industry, I want to thank you for getting us where we are. You're lovely people, and you really deserve this award. I just want to give you a round of applause. Thank you. Before we invite Bob up here to the stage, we want to roast him. No. There's a couple of people that have some things to say and to honor Bob. And first, our very own Executive Director, Donna.
That's me.
Hollander. For those of you that don't know her, she is involved as our Executive Director.
Now I have to make it shorter because I'm shorter. I have to admit something, and everyone in this room really does know me for the most part. I'm never nervous. I'm nervous. Why am I nervous? No. I'll tell you why I'm nervous is because Steve said, cry. I'm already crying. What Rocky just read, I mean, come on, right? This man is amazing. He really is. And I'll tell you, in the 30 years I've been working in the industry, I'm still crying. This is ridiculous. I have met some wonderful people. Here you go, right in this room. A handful of them have impacted my career. And there's a few also in this room. But there are two people from this industry who have impacted me, my life. Bob is one of them. Why am I crying? This is crazy. The other one is Ray Hanley. And I know you wouldn't mind me stealing your thunder, comparing you to Ray Hanley, right? Because I know you would. That's right. So now I'm going to tell a funny story, so maybe then I won't cry anymore. But when Bob came on the board, first of all, I loved that he was so direct, because I loved direct people. Just tell me like it is. What is it? And Bob is that person. Anyone who knows Bob, he's going to tell you like it is, and I love that. But he's also a leader, a teacher. So whenever you're sitting with Bob, he's teaching you something. You're learning something from him. But never do you feel like he's talking down to you. You feel he really does talk to you in a way that helps you to learn whatever he's teaching you, right? So when he became the president, he called me. I'm going to curse, by the way, because I do that. But he called me and he says to me, Donna, I have a couple guys at Kraft let their certification lapse. I don't know if you remember this conversation, Bob. I said, okay. He said, how are we going to get this fixed? I said, well, who are they? And he told me they were pretty high up in Kraft. And I said, well, how long has the certification lapsed? Well, one guy's 2 years, the other guy's 3. And so I know a lot of you in the room know what that means. You let your certification lapse for more than a year, you take the test again. Yeah, right, you take the test again. So I said to Bob, I'm like, well, we will help them. We'll figure out a test date. We'll get the study manuals. If they passed once, they can pass again. And he starts laughing. I'm like, yeah, the president of the organization's laughing. And then he said, here comes the curse. I love this. You got balls. he said, here's the president of the organization basically calling you saying, like, let's fix this. He stuck to the rules. And he said 3 words to me. And he said them before, and he said them after, but it really meant so much to me. And the 3 words are, I'm proud of you. And it really meant a lot to me. When Bob Kraft says to you, I'm proud of you, it means something. So I'm proud of you. And I'll tell anyone who will listen to me, if they say I know Bob Kraft, I'm a raging Bob Kraft fan. And I will always say that. I love him. He's great. He taught me so much. So I'm honored and kind of like embarrassed now that I'm crying, but to be up here and to be able to tell everyone in this room, and really we're live on YouTube, who's out there, Bob is a wonderful human being. I mean, listen to everything that he did. He started a company. He made the company successful. And then what he did was give it back to the employees. He feeds the hungry, clothes the needy, gives people education opportunities. I mean, who wouldn't want to be like Bob? Let's be like Bob, right? But I'm honored. I really am honored to be up here to talk about you and to stand here and to have ordered this award that you're going to get. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. Thank you for, yeah. So before I sit down, I'm gonna ask John Uhas to come up, and we owe a debt of gratitude to John Uhas. See, he's crying too. I know. You know what? It's Jeff Hodges' fault. That's why we're all crying. Because if John didn't nominate Bob for this award that he so much deserves, we all wouldn't be in the room. So, John, we're.
Thank you, Donna. And Donna asked me to come and say a few words about Bob. And the only way I could really think of as a fitting tribute to Bob was to talk about everyone except Bob. Start with his wife Marie, and of course his family. Bob always talks with glowing enthusiasm, especially Marie in the early days, how much he always thought of you as his partner, as his equal. He could not have done what he did without you. And then I'll talk about Bob's employees at Kraft Fluid Systems. 50 years the company has been in existence because of Bob's contributions, and because of Bob's generosity, the employees now are proud to own the company that Bob started that still bears his name. And so many of Bob's employees, Mike Blake's here, he was one of the first, or maybe the first employee other than Bob and Marie at the company, that Bob's commitment to bettering his employees, educating his employees, training his employees was always front and center with everything that mattered to Bob, because the employees were another family to Bob. I'm quite fortunate that I've spent the years I've spent with the company, and Bob was the influence that nudged me ever so gently and subtly to get involved in IFPS several years ago. Speaking of IFPS, there are so many people that Bob influenced in IFPS, so many projects, as we've talked about, that Bob was so crucial to Bob was so committed to everyone in the IFPS. We're at 35,000 certifications that have been issued. Bob and Mike were in roughly the first 100 certifications because Bob was a believer early on in the meaning and the value of certification and in making his employees get certified because of the value to his employees. And Bob's passion for the industry wasn't just about the employees at Kraft. Bob also thought Jim Brizzolera, one of our previous inductees, every time I see Jim, he tells Bob about the time when Hydroforce, Jim's company, was a fledgling young company. And Bob, I would say heroically, rallied the troops of all the other distributors, some of whom were competitors, to support Jim and Dick, bless his heart, when their company was fledgling. Bob supported his partners, the manufacturers he worked with. Bob supported what was best for the other distributors in the industry. And finally, Bob supported IFPS and certification and everyone in this room. I couldn't find anything better to say about Bob than talk about all of the people other than Bob himself that Bob has influenced. So many of us in this room. I know a lot more that are on YouTube. I want to say congratulations, Bob, but I think it's more appropriate to say thank you.
Is it okay if I bend over? Thank you, John. That was great. We really appreciate those words. Bob, the big moment has arrived. Come on up. So Bob, I want to thank you personally, and I want to extend this award to you, and hopefully it's worthy of all the commitment you have given us, and just thank you very much.
Thank you, Rock.
Round of applause.
Where's the music?
You want to say a few words? That would be great.
I was going to say a lot of the things that you said. One of the things I thought might be appropriate as we leave tonight would be to pray for all those people in Florida. I'd like to thank Rocky and the chair, as chairman and the committee for my selection. It was truly a surprise, and needless to say, I'm honored, and so forth. One of the things that I was after always was education and training and so forth leads to, the word to me was always competency. And so I could be in favor of competency for our competition, our customers, our suppliers, because I was always much more successful with people that were competent. And all the people that are incompetent that are out there in our industry don't do us any good because they have bad applications or whatever. So that drove the beginning of our company, and I was, really, not that we were always successful or we didn't make any mistakes, but when we did, it fessed up to it and corrected it. I'd also like to thank my fourth daughter. I have two daughters and a niece that's like a daughter. Here's another one. and the staff that's been so faithful to all of us over the years. I don't know if we can ever thank you enough. Mike was our first outside field salesman. His sister was our first full-time inside customer service. Marie at the beginning handled all that. Our youngest daughter was 2 and our oldest daughter was 6 when I decided that I'm gonna try something. I was working for, some of you know, it was a small distributor in Cleveland, and he just wasn't going anywhere. We were doing, I don't know, I would guess we were probably doing $4 million in sales. And that was in the industrial market, where if you either have it or you don't sell it. So in the beginning, that's what I was after. During that, I'd like to ditto what was John just said. A special thanks to and support of Marie. We've just celebrated in February 60 years of marriage. And Halloween will be 67 years from our first date. So it goes back a long time. She was a freshman, I was a junior in high school. She was a partner for me. Sometimes she says, well, how come you didn't tell me about that? I says, well, it's called need to know. You don't need to know some of this other stuff. But she got me back on the straight and narrow when I would fall off the tracks. I'm going to bore you with a little bit. I'm going to take you on an 11-year journey, and I'll try to do it in a minute or two. I graduated from Ohio U, not the Ohio State University. This is in Athens, Ohio, not to be, everybody interprets when you tell them you're from Ohio University, they think it's the Buckeyes. It's not the Buckeyes, it's the Bobcats. I graduated in August of '61 from Ohio. I took a job with Eastman Kodak in Rochester, New York, with the idea that I was going to join the New York National Guard. If you remember back in that time, the draft was really going strong. All the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, all the reserve programs were closed. All the National Guard, except for in New York, was. So I went up there on Monday, started to work, I went down to the Guard that evening. Tuesday morning, I went back to finish up the paperwork, and on the teletype, or whatever we called those machines in that days, the New York National Guard was closed. So I knew from a high school classmate that I had about 6 weeks of freedom before I was going to get drafted. So I did the thing that not all of us would admit to, but a lot of us did, was avoided the draft by joining the Navy. And then, so in 62 later, in Newport, in February, I graduated at OCS as a Navy ensign, and in transit to my first duty, stopped in Cleveland, and we got married. And so she was in nursing school. I didn't see her again. It was February. I didn't see her again until October. And then in January, I left for another 7-month cruise of the Western Pacific. And I feel like I've come full circle. I found this in the drawer from the Training Command, United States Pacific Fleet Training Center, San Diego, California. This certifies that Ensign R.E. Kraft, U.S. Naval Reserve, has successfully completed the prescribed course in Prospective Engineer Officers course, parenthetic STEAM. I was on an oiler, fancy ship, in April 26th of 1962. So here I am back in San Diego 50 years later. Once I came, nearly 2 years on board ship, I was assigned to the Naval Ordnance Center Laboratory in Corona, California. And that's when with an engineer from Cal, took me under the wing, and we played around with I had me doing tech work on a lathe, winding wires on a coil, and that resulted in the joint application for the patent that we received. And when I got out of the Navy in '65, I went to work for Paul Monroe Hydraulics. Paul Monroe in those days, and Rucker was the big distributor, AA distributor. And eventually, I think Paul Monroe, and there was, I don't remember the other, was one of the first Vickers, one of the first three Vickers distributors. Up until that point, the 6th and 65, 66, somewhere in that time frame. Vickers did all their selling direct, so there wasn't distribution involved. I did remember the comment that I got from Ted Monroe and about when we were putting the lightning reference handbook together. I said, this just came up in this trip, that there was some problems when Paul Monroe was sold in '83, Berenson bought that and the lightning reference handbook went with it. And all I was doing to help get this thing going was cutting and pasting and essentially plagiarizing stuff that was out in the open market. And I said to the owners of Paul Monroe, I said, do we have to talk to anybody that gets permission for this? No, he says, we'll do that. So they're both deceased. But I had no part of that plagiarism. Getting near the end here. The other thing I'm about is the ESOP. I have something here, so somebody that doesn't know what an ESOP is, maybe I have it here. Anyway, an ESOP stands for Employee Stock Ownership Plan. It's like a profit sharing program where they invest in your company itself. So Pat Maluso and I just chatted briefly here this evening. He was led to believe by his employer that that's what he was headed with, do an ESOP, and he would be the leader of the new ESOP company. So my experience has been that the guys really have to believe and care for their employees, and realize I found that the boa constrictor disease, guys like small entrepreneurs like this, and they say, I did this, I did that. Until we had 10 employees, Mike knows Marie and I were probably playing post office, basically, and as we built to about 10 employees, and we just took off. So we had two. Why did I do this? I've always known that I would realize that I would have had a very she knows the way I would be straight up, and I said until we had to, and then we had two daughters. At the time, Sue, our 2-year-old, grew into a 22-year-old, and she graduated from Ohio with an IT degree. And so we convinced her that coming to work for her mom and dad wouldn't be all that bad. And she's been in the IT department since 1993. And then more importantly, I'd like to leave you I wanted to recognize all you guys and gals that are volunteering for this IFPS. It's a worthwhile project. It's time consuming. I'm sure it's difficult for you guys. I couldn't pull myself away and to do the volunteering until I had retired, and I've been retired for 20 years, and so I had some time to spend on the effort here. But I appreciate all of you that come here tonight and the work you guys do. So with that, I humbly accept this wonderful award.
Well, thank you, everybody. Bob, Marie, thank you very much for attending this and accepting the award. That concludes this evening's awards, and thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening here.